strange things happen to the folks we believe will always be there for us in this case. And when that occurs, we are presented with decisions that have the power to either shatter us or mold us. Following his devastating split with Kelly Ripa, Mark Consuelos has made a surprising and life-altering choice. And we're going to get into it tonight. A daring and surprising choice that has shocked and inspired followers equally. Keep listening because I am about to tell you something that will shock you in every way. Mark Consuelos and Kelly Ross gave off the impression of being the ideal Hollywood couple for more than 20 years. Their on-screen antics, their family life, and their humor all contributed to an image of stability. Unfortunately, many of us are aware that even the most flawless stories have hidden flaws. The divorce wasn't merely a celebrity headline when it eventually made it public. A lot of people took it personally, particularly the millions of followers who thought the relationship would last a lifetime. Even the most luminous love stories can fade. My friends, that was only the start of Mark's new adventure. Envision yourself tied to the beat, the habits, the hopes, and the joy of another person for half of your adult life. Suddenly, one morning, it vanishes. All of the house lights remain turned on. The comfort, though, is lacking. It was there that Mark discovered himself, and he made a daring decision, rather than running away or holding on to what he had lost. I don't know. Certainly no one had anticipated that. Keeping his popularity in mind wasn't going to be the focus of Mark's next chapter. The focus was on getting back to his real self when the cameras stopped rolling. But first, let's go back to the point when he was on the verge of giving up before we show you what that looked like. Decision points are inevitable in every divorce. Anger is what it is for certain people. Still others, innovation. It remained a nagging question for Mark. If I'm not Kelly's partner, then who am I? A speedy response wasn't forthcoming. Actually, his friends remembered the nights he would silently stroll across New York City, questioning whether his greatest days were behind him. Still, the shadows did sow a seed, as is so frequently the case in life. What if the split opened a new chapter in our lives, rather than closing it? It all started with just one idea, both simple and powerful. You won't believe what that doorway led to. Mark decided to step away from the limelight instead of trying to make new news. No late-night interviews or ostentatious public appearances. He remained silent. Instead, he tried writing in a notebook, meditating, and even going on extended periods of isolation. Something completely different from the glamour of TV. At first, his supporters were considered to be hiding, but he was actually constructing something, because it was in that stillness that Mark mustered the courage to make a choice that would change the course of his life irrevocably. The question is, what was that choice? Pay attention. Get ready to be stunned by the reveal. I have it here. Mark Consuelos left the acting industry and the spotlight behind to devote himself to a cause unrelated to acting. He reportedly helped rehabilitate communities, supported local businesses, and mentored young entrepreneurs while putting his time and money into community development projects. Speculation swirled among admirers that this was an astonishing change of direction for the actor who had spent decades appearing on screen. Someone famous and wealthy wouldn't take a road as modest, would they? Somewhere deeper in a lesson that we can all learn and internalize is where the solution rests. Divorce wasn't merely a final chapter for Mark. It reflected the light. The mirror helped him see that stardom and box office receipts aren't the ultimate yardsticks of success. You know you've made a difference when no one is looking. Giving back wasn't just about him. It was about a lot of others. And additionally, it was about his recovery, for the simple reason that helping others can put back together what pain has torn apart. And then, as the months passed, an extraordinary event occurred. A sense of direction sprang from Mark's anguish. But when this new chapter came to a close, another unexpected turn of events took viewers quite unawares. The news of his divorce had buried an important fact, and many had forgotten about it. Mark had a subtle passion for literature and storytelling before he began acting. He took up the pen again in his isolation. Journal entries evolved into a manuscript, not a Hollywood screenplay, but something more intimate. Relatives and friends believe it served as both a memoir and a guide for those dealing with grief. Would it be published? Those on the inside say yes. If this happens, it will involve more than just Mark and Kelly. The theme will revolve around perseverance and picking yourself up when the world gives up on you. His journey is significant because of that. Many of us in our 60s can relate to Mark's choice. Divorce, retirement, and the loss of loved ones are all painful experiences that many of us have felt. But his story demonstrates that we have the power to choose innovation over hopelessness, regardless of our age. Yes, we can. For almost 3 decades, Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos seemed like one of Hollywood's most unshakable couples. From their soap opera beginnings on All My Children to their romantic Vegas elopement in 1996, their love story was the stuff of fairy tales. Fans adored their chemistry both on screen and off, and their bond became a symbol of enduring romance in an industry notorious for fleeting relationships. That's why the announcement of their divorce shocked fans to the core. But even more surprising is the news that Mark Consuelos has made a big life decision in the aftermath of their split, one that could completely change the course of his personal and professional future. A love story ends. Kelly and Mark's relationship was always at the center of public attention. They raised 3 children, Michael, Lola, and Joaquin, and even worked side by side as co-hosts of Live with Kelly and Mark. Their playful banter, inside jokes, and candid stories about marriage made them relatable to millions of viewers. Behind the scenes, however, things weren't always picture perfect. Insiders suggest that years of busy schedules, the challenges of co-parenting, and the constant spotlight created cracks that eventually widened into something irreparable. The divorce, though heartbreaking, came as a moment of truth, an admission that even love stories once thought unbreakable can sometimes come to an end. Mark's shocking decision. In the wake of the split, Mark Consuelos reportedly decided to step away from the spotlight to focus on self-discovery and healing. For a man who has spent decades in the public eye, this is nothing short of life-altering. According to close sources, Mark plans to take a hiatus from major acting and hosting projects. Instead, he intends to spend time away from Hollywood, focusing on his family ties, personal growth, and exploring opportunities outside the glare of cameras. Mark doesn't want to just jump into another role or project, one insider explained. He wants to hit pause, reflect on what he's been through, and rebuild his life from the ground up. The emotional toll. Divorce is never easy, but for Mark, separating from Kelly has reportedly been devastating. Friends say he's been struggling emotionally, describing him as reflective and even haunted by questions of what went wrong. He thought they could get through anything, a source shared. To see their marriage unravel after nearly 30 years broke him in ways he didn't expect. For Mark, the decision to pull back from Hollywood isn't just about avoiding publicity. It's about creating space to heal, process his emotions, and rediscover his identity outside of his marriage. Kelly's perspective. While Kelly Ripa has not spoken in detail about the divorce, those close to her say she understands Mark's choice. Kelly wants Mark to be okay, a friend revealed. Even though their marriage has ended, she still cares about him deeply. If stepping away helps him heal, she supports it. Kelly herself remains committed to her career and family, focusing on her role as a morning show host while navigating this painful new chapter in her life. Fans react with heartbreak. When the news of both the divorce and Mark's big decision broke, fans were quick to respond with shock, sadness, and an outpouring of support. "This is heartbreaking. Kelly and Mark were my hope that true love lasts forever," one fan wrote. "Mark taking time to himself shows strength. Wishing him healing," another shared. Social media was flooded with messages of compassion, with hashtags like "Stay Strong Mark" and "Uproar Support Kelly" trending as millions expressed their solidarity with the former couple. A new chapter awaits. So, what's next for Mark Consuelos? Sources suggest he plans to explore quieter pursuits, from writing and producing to spending time traveling and reconnecting with loved ones. This is about rediscovery, an insider said. Mark wants to figure out who he is apart from Kelly, apart from the public image, and apart from the constant spotlight. For many fans, his decision serves as a reminder that even in heartbreak, new beginnings are possible. A legacy that remains. Though their marriage has ended, Kelly and Mark's love story remains part of Hollywood history. Nearly 3 decades together is no small feat, and their legacy as partners, parents, and entertainers will not be erased by divorce. In fact, their journey reminds fans that relationships, even those